We're going to have to do this process where I can't see you, you can't see me,
Yes, I cannot see you as usual.
and I can't see you as usual.
I figured.
And there you are. Here we are, and we are all together. Cuckoo, Cachoo, I am the Eggman. All right. I'd like to say that we are we're the channel formerly known as the Denver Broncos Mile High View, but as you know, the Denver Broncos had died with Pat Bowlen. There is no Denver Broncos. This abomination is known as the Wal-Mart Generals and their Wal-Mart General fandom. And that's what we're going to discuss. But before that, I want to just say that to you, because, we didn't even have time to talk. I really enjoyed the player evaluations we were doing and posting that stuff. It was totally really taking off. And unfortunately, you have been consumed with so many different things that it's going to be a while before you can get to that. I just want to say how much I enjoyed it, how much positive feedback we got from it. And then, having to delve into this abyss known as the Wal-Mart Generals, formerly known as the Denver Broncos. It's on the other side of the spectrum of what we were doing. Can you discuss the how you felt about the player evaluations, what we were doing? Just so we can. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're not going to end. I just been extremely busy with my job, and also spring ball's coming up for me, and I've been really diving in with the kids I'm going to be coaching and developing for their future and future success. So those aren't going to end. I'll probably put out more sometime this week. It's just my schedule now is getting more and more busy, as you well know, as we both know.
Yeah.
But I don't want to quit doing those because those are what I'm really good at. And I know a lot of people out there are looking forward to more and more of those. But I just have to tell people that coaching season's coming up. So this whole, me doing these player evaluations, you guys are just going to have to bear with me because, my coaching and my job is going to have to come first right now, while the player evaluations, which they will come, are just going to take a little bit more time for me to push out on the platforms that I have.
Yeah, I mean, that was really, really great to do. And it was really refreshing on the opposite side of the spectrum than what we're doing here. But because I just want to get into this too, because the Wal-Mart Generals are into, it's just a never-ending shit show for 8 years. We're going on the 8th year of this. And, I didn't think we were going to even be talking about any of this. By the way, I had a detractor, somebody who was very critical of our work last year, come out and say, and I'll give him credit, oh my God, you guys are actually right. And we get that from time to time from honest people. What we get from dishonest people are this idea of conspiracy theorists. And I would rather be a conspiracy theorist than a reality denier. And somebody who spews concocted realities that don't have nothing to do with the real world. What has happened, and I was looking at different camps in the NFL, what strikes me with the Wal-Mart Generals is that they have really surrounded themselves like the wagons surrounding, they surrounded the wagons with content creators, basically spinning, false realities. So anybody that lives in the real world would seem like a conspiracy theorist. It wasn't us that said Elway still walks, like Trotsky, still walks the halls of Dud Valley. I mean, that comes from your head coach there. So, and it's, not a theory that Aaron Rodgers comes out and says there's a whole lot more I could say about this organization. That's not theory. That's reality. Because he could, what I think had happened. We go kind of readdress this Nathaniel Hackett. I think what got the front office so butthurt with Nathaniel Hackett and what culminated in this retaliation was that I think Hackett was hired to bring in Aaron Rodgers. They didn't care about him as a coach, honestly. His number one job was to rope in Aaron Rodgers because, let's just face the facts, reality, not conspiracy. There's no way that Russell Wilson was plan A at all. That was clearly Aaron Rodgers. The false narratives, as we say, the false realities that Aaron Rodgers was signing on the dotted line via sources that Adam Schefter and both Mark Schlereth, we know who those sources were. The guy that still walks the hallways. I mean, it's anybody with two brain cells knows what's going on around this place. Since they couldn't execute plan A, there is no plan B. Well, they had to go to plan B. And I think it was a guy with Russell Wilson who they didn't really want. But because they didn't want to be embarrassed, because with reality being what it is, people not wanting to come to the Denver Broncos. And I'd say Russell Wilson also in what he said, which is not, again, conjecture, which is reality. He, at his press conference, when the Broncos were so panicked they made the worst deal in NFL history, he's at the podium, and anybody can go to the press conference and see it for themselves. It's not us. It's Russell Wilson saying, are you sure, with the pretend phone at the press conference in Denver, are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you sure this is what you want to do? That is not language a guy begging to come here wants. It sounds like, a guy that just all of a sudden got a phone call and said, yeah, well, this is happening. What? So can you give me your take on all this stuff that I'm spewing out right now?
Well, I want to talk about the whole notion that we're conspiracy theories or conspiracy. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. That is just something that, I've been used to. That's something that, when you tell the truth and when you don't go along with the bullshit, you're going to have a certain section of people out there that aren't going to like your work. And that's just the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is I really don't care because honestly, you guys have been wrong for 8 years and you guys will continue to be wrong.
Well, it's not just a matter of being wrong. It's a matter of spewing false. They're spewing false narratives.
Well, they've been doing that for 8 years. They've been doing it for 8 years. It's not just, all of a sudden popped up.
Yeah.
And they could say we spew false narratives. I mean, what false narrative have we spewed? That Justin Simmons gets the ball thrown to him many, many times. I mean, look at the fucking All-22 film, and you'll see it for yourself. I've put out film breakdowns. The funny thing is when these people say that, when you and I and Bubble Man say that Justin Simmons gets the ball thrown right at him, you know how they counter that argument? Oh, he had a good season. He had a good season, really. Because if you go look at the All-22 that I use, that this man uses, the Bubble Man uses, coaches, offense coordinators, defense coordinators, general managers, scouts, all the above use to critique their players, you'll see a completely different story. And this is another thing. They removed this video from my YouTube channel, and I put it on my BitChute. I put a video out there saying the difference or highlight reels versus the All-22. These people look at the highlight reel like it's the All-22. That's not how it works. That's not how coaches come up with game plans and critique their players.
Well, you can't spin a false narrative with All-22. It is what it is.
Exactly. It is what it is. And so
it's like also not having live feeds at the training camp because you can make Justin Simmons look like he's an all-pro Pro Bowler, even though we haven't seen him breaking up passes or whatever, causing fumbles every game that he plays. but all of a sudden he's now turned into something he hasn't been.
Yeah, he'll have one good play, which was the Kansas City Chiefs game, which was a good play on his part.
Let's break that down. Let's be honest about that.
Let's
be honest about that. That receiver was open. If Mahomes throws it where, just where in front of the receiver, that's a touchdown.
Correct.
That interception was thrown behind the receiver and which would be in front of Justin Simmons. So yeah.
And then you have Trey Sorley just throwing it right at him. You have Trevor Lawrence throwing it right at him. I mean, so we're just supposed to sit there and be like, oh my God, that was a good instinctual play when the quarterback throws it right at him, right at him. So that's an instinctual play in your eyes. See, this is the difference between those Bronco content creators, you, me, and
Wal-Mart.
Yeah, exactly. The cheerleaders out there. We actually break down the film to a much deeper level than you guys do. I don't have to watch the games to say, oh my God, the Broncos looked good.
Well,
watch the alternate.
Yeah, breaking down the film is the conspiracy.
Yeah, breaking down the film is a conspiracy theory, but you have the people out there saying that they watched the film.
Yeah, they watch the highlight.
But they don't have any platform to speak of when you ask them about that, because they say that they scout. They say, you really scout? You really scout? You do? You're going to tell me that you scout? My track record speaks for itself, and I have film breakdowns galore on this channel, my channel, and my BitChute channel, Shadow Band Scouting. So before you sit there and proclaim that you watched the film, actually put out film breakdowns before you speak of it. Okay? But anyway,
I think Justin Simmons was benched. I don't think he was injured. I think he was playing so bad.
And who came in and played better than
Stearns? Yeah, you can't have that. Yeah, you can't have
that. That's a conspiracy. So I can't, because it's their favorite player in the world, Justin Simmons, but I can't root for another player in Caden Stearns who has much higher upside than he does, and he's better instinctually in reading routes and reading coverages than Justin Simmons. But that's a conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the world we live in today. It's the cancel culture. It's the bullshit. It's if you have a difference of opinion, you're called a conspiracy theorist. If you hold people accountable, it's a conspiracy.
Oh yeah, that's the big one. If you hold people accountable.
Yeah. And they don't like that. They hate.
I just want to get back into what I was saying. I was looking at the training camps for different teams and how it differs from the Denver Broncos. And the Denver Broncos have surrounded themselves with so many so-called content creators that and even what I find very interesting, even with all these content creators out there, I mean, I don't see that with the other. Not at the scale. I'm talking, the scale that's surrounding the Denver Broncos. It's like, I look at, the Wal-Mart Generals. Let's just call them what they are, the Wal-Mart Generals. It's just like an emperor has no clothes organization. They want to sit there and with their false narratives and tell you the emperor has clothes. They don't. What's interesting is that there is a public going out there, and what I think is interesting is that, Russell, we know what Russell Wilson is. And, they panicked. It was the front office that panicked and signed him for that big contract. But we know what he is. We know what he's about. We know he's going to be who he is. And they're in such a panic right now, even with all the king's horses and all the king's men spewing, telling you, oh, don't worry. They're in a panic. They're saying, they're bringing us up because they know what's coming. They know it's in my opinion, it's just, I don't know how you feel because we haven't really talked about this.
Yep.
But I feel the panic is worse now than what Nathaniel Hackett's group saw at OTAs. I think it's worse now. What I thought was hysterical is that the people out there are already looking at the backup quarterback, and the backup quarterback is even worse than Russell Wilson. They're in absolute panic over there. So, you're going to talk about, so they have a wide receiver goes down, a roster spot opens up, and what were they telling us? What is the emperor has no clothes content creators telling us about depth on this team? They said it's all in the secondary. They said, forget the offense. It's all in the secondary. Okay. if you have all this depth in the secondary, why would you go ahead and get into that?
Why would you go out and get a Fabian Monroe from the New York Giants, who they didn't bring back for a reason? He sucks. He's past his prime, and he's not the player he used to.
Well, didn't he get benched also?
He got benched. And another thing is, he's not the player that he used to be. Another retread. Okay, so exactly. I don't know. I don't understand. It's the Wal-Mart Generals, so
it's the Wal-Mart Generals. Yeah, that's what they are.
Expect anymore. If I was running the team, I would have went out and maybe got an inside linebacker that can cover. I would have got a defensive lineman for depth, an offensive lineman for depth. Because
offensive lineman. Let's talk about offensive lineman. When you sit there as the emperor has no clothes content creators, telling you the emperor has clothes, they were going on and on about how great Nick Burrito has been doing in camp. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you can look at it in two ways. What I saw last year is a guy that was a ghost. I mean, he was the first stringers, second stringers just totally ghosted this guy. Okay. So if this guy is having such a great camp, I mean, it's one thing of doing good, but having this great knockout camp, I'm really concerned about the offensive lines the offensive player personnel on the line that he's going up against. I would be, if I was a Wal-Mart general who actually was living in the world of reality, I would be wondering, based off of what I saw last year, I would say Nick Burrito's underperformance. I would ask the question, okay, he's performing real well, but who is really underperforming on that offensive line? That's when they're going against each other, one has to ask that question. So it's true. Why would you go out and get a guy, another retread? Because they don't only know retreads. They swing for the retreads. They don't want to bring in a guy they could possibly develop. No. Matter of fact, I was at Green Bay's, was one of the teams I went to. And they, in all honesty, were a lot closer. Yes, with Aaron Rodgers, but still as a team, they were much closer to a Super Bowl by far than the Denver Broncos. They have already embraced the idea of rebuilding around a quarterback they're going to stick with. They're going to get all their priorities straight. That makes sense for any team with two wits, but not the Wal-Mart Generals. The Wal-Mart, and let me just explain the Wal-Mart Generals for those who don't understand where this. We call this team formerly known as the Denver Broncos the Wal-Mart Generals because every actual Super Bowl contender out there, Super Bowl contender, they are the Harlem Globetrotters to the Denver Broncos Washington Generals. That's how far the degree of separation in reality. That's not a theory. They're not even. They're getting worse and worse, and they're 5-12 for a reason. 5-11 for a reason. Not just because of Hackett. I mean, let's take a look at that Indianapolis Colts game. It's almost like two teams that mirrored each other. It seemingly seemed like, I think the defense, though, for the Colts is real versus the paper tiger that's the Wal-Mart Generals, their defense. But as inept as the Colts offense was, it was still able to mount a drive to score and win the game. Well, that's because they didn't blow a whistle or that. Yeah, but why could your player personnel on both sides of the field, your defense is so great, why couldn't it at least stop Ryan, to get that score? Why? It's not just a coach, it's obviously it starts at the very top, but the player personnel is what I've been calling B-list, and your content creators trying to make them out to be all pros. I mean, there's a reason Justin Simmons didn't get invited by his peers. You can see it on the All-22 film, and it drives them crazy. I've just been saying, and I'll continue to say this, when this team is actually relevant, and they're talking about rebranding in the next 2 years, this team may not even be here in the next couple of years. I found that what Bubbleman said, or was reporting that the Walmart people were saying that they're going to do a total rebrand. This team may not even be here in 2 years. Okay. So I just, I just don't see any of the people on this team just being nothing more than a footnote in history, 10 years from now. Give me your take.
Well, I'm going to circle back to the Nick Burrito thing because I was never high on the pick to begin with. But then you have typical Wal-Mart General content creators out there saying that this is an A+ move because of the film I saw on ESPN when they drafted him. That's not film.
A highlight reel.
That's a highlight reel. It's not film. That's what frustrates me more than anything is when you have people that say that they're one thing, but they're completely different. That's what pisses me off. Like, well, actually, if you're going to go ahead. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just, I'm going to let you go to your point, but I just want to, just as a marker, I get frustrated when the front office is saying they're spending 1,200 hours of film watching on somebody like Mims. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just laughable at this point. It really is. I mean, all you can do is laugh at this point. I mean, you and I can do this in our sleep more than what the scouting department and front office is doing right now as we speak on this Wednesday here. Okay, like honestly, think about that. I mean, you and I could probably scout better than those people in that front office. I know I can. I know I could do this in my fucking sleep if I wanted to. But anyway. The Nick Burrito pick, again, just to this day, made no sense because you had Travis Jones on the board, who is in a situation in Baltimore he's actually developing behind good interior defensive linemen in Baltimore. He doesn't have to show up right away. All I want the Denver Broncos to do is to blow this thing up, the Wal-Mart Generals. All I want the Wal-Mart Generals to do is to blow this thing up, blow the front office up, blow the scouting department up, blow it up, and do it the right way, man. Because, you keep going out and getting corners. You say you have depth there. You say that's one of the strongest parts of your team is your secondary, but you still go out and sign a corner.
A retread
corner from the New York Giants who got benched. That's the key. He got benched. He got benched.
That's what these content creators call A+ moves. I mean, we've been getting this for 8 years now, putting the lipstick on the pig, and they can't understand. I mean, there are real Bronco fans. I mean, real ones out there that agree with us that they're totally upset with what's been going on for the 8 years, and they're tired of being bullshitted.
And I have a question for you, Chop Deliver. When you see the same thing happening for 8 years, I'm not just going to sit here and have a thumb up my ass and sit on my couch and be like, yay, Denver looks so good. No, I'm going to call it out. That's not in my DNA. I'm going to call something out when I see it's wrong. It's wrong what they're doing over there. They are being exposed. This week, in a 2-day span, has been absolutely just glorifying to see other teams just burying this organization. And it's not because I want them to be buried, but they need to be buried and be held accountable for the actions that they have done for 8 years. 8 years.
What I find interesting is they're already in panic mode.
That too. They're already in panic mode. Russell Wilson, for the 7th day in a row, looks like shit against this paperless Tiger defense. That is alarming, because what did we say when Sean Payton was brought in? He doesn't fit the Sean Payton offense. No, he doesn't. He's not a Sean Payton quarterback. You have these Wal-Mart General content creators out there saying that, oh my gosh, I put out a film breakdown on the Sean Payton offense. That blew up like a hot air balloon. And people were saying, oh, it's clickbait. It's not the Sean Payton offense. They try to compare it to the Bill Walsh offense, which is not true. He comes from the – I know. That's how I know they don't know football. They don't know the ins and outs.
Whoa, look at his goals. He's naked.
Sean Payton is a Bill Parcells disciple. He comes from the Bill Parcells tree. He runs the Bill Parcells offense, which is a I don't know if he's probably not going to run that here in the Washington or Wal-Mart Generals organization. But when he was in New Orleans with stable single ownership, a stable front office, a stable scouting department, a stable coaching staff, what was he running? A multi-power run, spread concepts, quick throws in the middle of the field type of offense, right? So I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're absolutely right. I think you hit the nail on the head when we talked off air. That I think you're absolutely right. I think they're going to try and run some sort of a West Coast system, and
A hybrid,
a hybrid offense, and I think it's gonna implode. I think I just think it's gonna implode, and you're already seeing that in training camp.
Well, I was going to say it's already imploding. I just want to explain for people with two wits anyway. I listen to a lot of. I'm reading a lot of comments from these Wal-Mart General fans, formerly known as the Denver Broncos,
who died with Pat.
The Broncos that died with Pat Bowlen. I want to explain Sean Payton's offense real quick from our insiders over at the Saints. Because, what happens is you just have a lot of one-liners. That's what the content creators like are to create these one-liners. And, he took a crap organization with the Saints. And I'm going to keep trying to get people to understand what the dynamic is there and what it's here. What's not mentioned by these people that post that comment is that the Saints, when Sean Payton came in, the owner bought out the other owners, made it monolithic, got Mickey Loomis and Ireland to come up with a one system. This is what we're going to run. When Sean Payton came in, unlike the Denver Broncos, he got rid of a lot of players. That didn't happen here. Essentially, and you said this on our last video, you said that basically the Broncos are the same team, essentially, that they were last year. So this already is diametrically different than anything that Sean Payton. Also, the insider said that they said that they ended up putting a leash on him. They had to put a leash on Sean Payton, and in order to rebuild their defense. But that off to a side. What they also said is that what Sean Payton likes to do offensively is he likes to pass to set up the run. That is exactly why this system does not fit Russell Wilson. And this is what me and you talked about. If they're going to have any kind of success, the Wal-Mart Generals at all, any kind of success, they're going to have to devote probably at least 60% of their minimum 60% of their game plan to running the football. Minimum. They're going to have to, even though they're different systems, they're going to have to kind of have a Titans mentality of running the football. So me and you were talking about the way the content creators are saying, the Broncos themselves are saying it. What it sounds like they're trying to do is in the passing game, they're trying to run a West Coast like system where Wilson is running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and people out there, and this is why I think that's what's going on, is because people out there are saying that instead of going through the progressions, Russell Wilson is wanting to tuck and run, and anytime that you're running this West Coast system, it generates that kind of sensation. Me and you said for the passing game is fine. You can run a boot keeper or something once in a while, but it can't be the majority of what you're doing. You're going to have to get Russell Wilson to get rid of the ball as quickly as possible. And we don't see that happening out in training camp. It seems like that, again, it's tucking and running, staring down, all the stuff that we saw last year. So what I'm just getting at is what I think Sean Payton's going to try is run a West Coast passing game mixed with a zone run concept, New Orleans style running game. But we both know that this front office cannot sit around and wait for the running game. They will, and again, Sean Payton likes to pass to set up the run. That in no way is going to work with Russell Wilson. No way. It just doesn't even compute. That's reality. That's not conspiracy theory. That is reality.
Yeah, that's just the fact of life, unfortunately, and that's going to hurt some people. But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right, Mile High. You're absolutely right. This whole notion that Russell Wilson succeeded in Seattle because he was running around with a chicken with his head cut off making plays is not true. That just shows me that you guys don't watch the film. You guys don't do a deep dive. You just watch the games and you see the highlights. Here's how he succeeded in Seattle. It was behind a really good offensive line, really good weapons that are better than the weapons he has in Denver, quite frankly, and a strong running game. He thrived off that strong running game. Okay. So
I made 2 film studies on Russell Wilson in his last year at Seattle, and what I discovered with my eyeballs was that and you could probably look at this is beyond the numbers. His completion percentage running around was almost nothing, was almost zero. His ability to stay in the pocket and get rid of the ball quick, when he did that, he almost had 100% completion ratio.
yeah.
So I can understand the thinking that was going on with Nathaniel Hackett. Matter of fact, I think Nathaniel Hackett ran what he wanted to run against Seattle at that time.
When Seattle, when his last year, and this will go to your film, the film that you actually put out.
Two parts.
The all 22 films that you actually put out.
Yeah.
The one thing that he was running in Seattle that was, what I thought Hackett would be able to run, but whatever, he couldn't, was that West Coast zone run system with the quick throws, the quick throws. And you and I said that the way that he's going to have success that year is if he gets the quick passing game going. Yes. And it worked when they did it when it was limited, but he did it. It looked good. He looked good doing it. But again, they got away from what works. That's what they do with the Wal-Mart Generals. They get away from what works. They get away from it. Once they got past that 50, Shermer ball. They try to go for the home run ball each and every time they got past that 50. And I believe the same thing is going to happen this year. I don't think anything's going to change, quite frankly.
Yeah. They're struggling just moving the ball in general through the air.
Defense that is going to
Yeah, everybody can, when it comes time to score, they just move the ball down and score.
Nick Burrito, we heard Nick Burrito last year had the Jerry Jeudy treatment, saying he looked like the next Von Miller out there. But again, what happened when the season actually started? He disappeared. Because
he disappeared.
He's not that. To me, Nick Burrito isn't that good of a player. He's another overhyped player by the Denver Broncos.
Of course.
John Elway picked, because he was in the draft room at the time when they picked Nick Burrito.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Of course.
Not a conspiracy. That's reality. So.
Because the film doesn't lie. The 5 and 12.
Well, behind the Broncos doesn't lie either, when he's sitting right there. So
exactly, and then the record of 5 and 12. It could only be Hackett's fault. That's all. It couldn't be that they don't. They have B-list players. So I want to get back to Seattle just really quick in that film study, because I want to talk about their offensive line. Their offensive line was pretty consistent, and they did a pretty good job. That's what the film showed. The one game they just totally had a breakdown was against Minnesota. They had a game against Minnesota, and it was just like falling apart left and right. That was the only game. Other than that game, when you compare it to the Broncos, they were much, much more consistent. But here's the other thing too. Their receivers with Metcalf and Lockett, these guys, they can get to the second level. And what does second level mean? It means when their initial route doesn't work, they can reroute themselves to get open. Okay. I haven't seen that here, since I don't even know, maybe even 2013 or something.
I would say when Emmanuel Sanders was here, he was the only one.
Yeah, that's the last time I've seen anything like that. So, I want to talk about the offensive line once again. I don't know if McGlinchey has even showed up yet.
He showed up.
He showed up now?
He showed up now. Yep.
Okay, so we know that he comes from a West Coast system.
Correct.
Now, if they're going to run power gap for their running plays, that's not going to bode well for him, right?
That doesn't fit his strengths.
So that wipes out his, in my opinion,
that wipes out him in general, because he sucks in pass pro.
He sucks in passing pro.
I did a film breakdown on this guy. I did an all 22 film breakdown on this guy. It's on my channel, The Scouting Guy.
Okay, so
what
you can't do is run behind him. That he's done.
No. Well, okay. If you're running, to your point, Mile High, if you're running that West Coast system and you're running behind him, okay, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But again, if you're running gap play towards his side of the field, it's not gonna amount to anything because he's
that's what I think. I think they're going to run the power gap Saints type running system.
That ain't going to work.
It's not going to work with McGlinchey. Now they're going to have to run probably behind Powers and Miners or something like that to do that. But
the only two good offensive linemen that you have on your starting five is Miners and Powers.
So let's go to Bowles as a power gap run blocker. How is that?
He's not.
You just wiped out your
in tackles. You just wiped them out. You wiped out your fucking tackles. Yes. You didn't upgrade your center position. You didn't upgrade your center. You went out and got a 7th round pick in Alex Forsyth who doesn't fit the fucking system.
Well, let's talk about Cushenberry as far as a power gap blocker. Cushenberry is a power gap blocker. Give me your take on Cushenberry as a power gap blocker.
He is a power gap blocker, but again, what have you done with him since you drafted him?
So you put him in his system. I know, but what I'm getting at is what are they going to do next year? So, in my opinion, again, based off of player personnel, based off the playbook, and what we're hearing, the talk, and what people are saying, if you're going on your running play, is going to run power, which this just blows my mind. You're going to do West Coast and power gap. I don't know why you would do that.
The Wal-Mart Generals for you.
It's Wal-Mart General football. So you're going to be limited to running in between the tackles. You're going to have to run between 3 guys. That's going to be it. You can't rely if you're doing power run.
You can't do those power runs on those, gaps.
No. But that means gap play. If you want to run the edges, you're going to have to go back to a web.
You know what I think it is too? They brought in that Chris Manhertz, that blocking tight end. They also got that tight end from the Saints that they traded for during the draft. I wonder if that was a big, oh shit moment because they knew their booking tackles don't fit the system. And I think that's why they brought in that fullback, those 2 blocking tight ends. Because Dulcich and Alberto can't block to save their life. I think that's another thing. I think that is what's gonna give it away when they're running the football.
Yeah, it's definitely yeah.
And it's gonna give it away. So the opposing defense that they're facing is automatically gonna have their ears perked, and you're gonna have the Mike linebacker and the defense coordinator calling out, "Hey, it's a running play to this gap side or the left side, or running it right up the A and B." I mean.
As the season goes on, these are indicators.
Figure it out.
You can get away with it maybe in the Raider game, maybe the next game, but then they're going to catch on to what's going on.
Correct.
Yeah. So it just
it never ends. It never ends. Well, it's just
amazing. Every year is a clown show. Every year it's panic. Every year it's bad decisions. Every year it's unsubstantiated hype. It's who they are. I've never seen an organization like this at all, ever.
Same.
So anyway, I'm glad. Thank you for spending some time. Anyway, what else have we seen? Is there anything else that?
No. I mean, you had Melvin Gordon calling out the organization, which I applaud. Nathaniel Hackett came out, went on against Sean. I think Sean Payton's fake. I really do. I think he's a fraud. I really do. I think he's just like Russell Wilson. They're both frauds. I really do.
Well, I believe he's going to be the 21st century John McCain. John McCain.
The reason I say he's a fraud because he says one thing but does something completely different. Where he says, "Oh, we're going to be quiet in the off season," and then he just turns around and he runs his mouth.
Yeah.
Do you hear let me ask you a question, Chopped Liver, before we end this. The organizations that have their shit together, aka the Chiefs, the Eagles, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, those teams like that, Buffalo. Do you see them running their mouth at all? Do you hear a word out of those organizations?
I'm going to tell you this to answer that question. I went to see everybody's training camp. And this I'm going to say spans an 8-year. Last year, what was it last year? It was calling making a video that everybody said was unprofessional. Calling out Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to dethrone you.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you this. There isn't one organization in the NFL or MLB or NBA that I've seen that pulls these shenanigans that the Broncos pull. It's just this
Not
is the
wrong.
professional front office, and you know what's really amazes me again is that the Walmart ownership group doesn't have the brains God gave a goose to blow that front office up right off the bat, and get rid of the toxicity that that thing has created in 8 years. Get rid of the content creators, and again, you know, get people that actually know something about development, something about, you know, bringing in guys that, you know, that you can build off of, not these retreads. Every guy's a retread or a B-listed college player, you know, that you're going to hype up to be some sort of, you know. So I just, what do you do? You're just going to, it's just going to be the same thing. You're seeing a bunch of suckers out there who will call people living in reality conspiracy theorists because they do not wish to live in reality, and they're going to be disappointed yet again. I think Sean Payton, like we said from the very beginning, even, you know, before he even got hired, I said he's going to take the bribe.
You did?
Yeah, I think he knows that there's nothing he can do for this organization.
Yep.
I think he's very fully aware of that.
Well, I think Billy Turner said it. I think Billy Turner said it best. I mean, he knows what he's walking into. He knows what he's dealing with in his little memo that he sent out when
Yeah.
they were calling out. I think, you know, everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. I mean, we're not the only ones that have said this. I think players, former coaches, former players, they see it. They're not stupid. But, you know, you have your, you know, the people that don't live in reality that, you know, are the Jersey gods. You know, again, I'm not into that shit, man.
Well,
I'm
his,
not into.
Peyton's grandkids are now taken care of for life. In my opinion, I think the Saints are more intriguing with Carr going there.
Oh yes.
Then
Have you heard what? Have you heard what they're talking about now? I've been keeping a close eye on them. I mean, Jordan Rhodes is kicking ass.
yeah, of course he should have been a third rounder. We know that.
Oh, I knew that. I mean, I'm the one that scouted him.
He's,
I'm the one that scouted him.
holy shit, this guy is good.
Yeah.
It's not a conspiracy theory. Go watch the film.
We actually know what we're talking about. So we don't live in this, you know, this fantasy land of, you know, look, I have my jersey back there. I'm a, you know, you're a top 5 jersey, you know, collector. No, we don't do that.
Yeah. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. I'm sorry about that. It's pretty sad. Yeah, the state of the Broncos are dead. They're gone.
Yeah, they died with Pat Bowlen. We said
They
that.
definitely died with Pat Bowlen. So we're going to be watching Wal-Mart General Ball.
Correct, and it'll be the same season like we've seen before, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be patient with the running game. I think that.
No.
I think there's limitations with that too, and it's going to manifest itself down the road. And well, Russell Wilson is who he is. He's a one-read, stare down quarterback that will, you know, would rather. I mean, he's tucking and running. He's not going through reads. It's, you know, the film showed that. I mean, you can't blame Hackett for that.
Well,
he is.
I think. Hold on 1 second, then I'll let you. We can go because I got to get going here soon. You know, you and I, we're very hard on the offensive line, which we should be.
Yeah.
But
defensive
again,
line as well.
Defensive line as well. But, you know, if you're having a one-read quarterback who holds on to the ball for more than 5 seconds, I mean, as an offensive lineman, what are you supposed to do? I mean, I just have to ask myself that question. I think when I think about it more and more, you're Ben Powers, you're even Lloyd Cushenberry, you're Quentin Miners in that interior. I mean, you're holding the ball for more than 5 seconds. I mean, what? I mean, if I'm an offensive lineman, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I mean, this guy's holding on to the ball, running around with this chicken with his head cut off in the backfield, and we're doing the best we can against a Chris Jones, against a DeForest Buckner, against a Kenny Clark, you know, against, you know, an Eric Armstead.
Oh, you mean players that aren't just hype, but they're real players.
Yeah, okay, like a Ben Powers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the interior defensive lineman. You're doing a double team on a Chris Jones, and you have Russell Wilson just sitting there like this or running around. I mean, as an offensive lineman, what are you supposed to do? I mean, I got to ask that.
Well, let me ask this in that vein. What are you going to do as an offensive lineman when your offensive line coach is strictly a power gap guy and is told now, well, we got to run some West Coast concepts. Then we're going to do some power gap concepts, and it's like, Mark Schlereth had talked about this a long time ago, that it's very difficult and he related this to Gibbs, and Alex Gibbs had mentioned all this, that it's very important that
who should be in the Hall of Fame and deserves those Super Bowl rings more than Shanahan because he convinced him to run the ball.
True. He tried to convince him after the 2 Super Bowls, but he wouldn't listen.
Yep.
And then he walked out. He got sick of, just like Kubiak got sick, and the rest got sick.
Yep.
Yeah, got sick of Elway. But in that case, it was Shanahan. But at any rate, how do you, as an offensive lineman, just shift gears all the time? Well, when you've been trained from Pee-wee on up to the pros to be a certain, because everybody along the line is, if they had any 2 brain cells rubbed together, they're going to pick you up because you fit their system, and they stick to that system. And then after all that, you are told you're going to be running these different systems. I just don't know what you do as an offensive lineman in that. Well, now we got the defensive line. We got edges that are 4-3 guys, and then we're telling the defensive coordinator Vance Joseph that he has to run edge row ball when his system isn't anything like edge row.
I know.
Plus, you brought in 4-3 guys.
Yep.
It just, everything they do is dysfunctional over there. And then when these people that call us conspiracy theorists go to actually watch what they're seeing, even just at a practice, they're freaking out. Why do you think it's happening that way? Because you have a dysfunctional organization. And
well, like I said, I have no sympathy for those people. Those people buried their own grave years ago, so I don't have time for that crap. I don't.
You're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
If you're beating your head against the wall for 8 years and expecting that wall to fix itself, or your head to fix itself, I'm not gonna associate with people like that can't get their fucking head out of their own ass.
And that's why you would block those kind of people.
Yes, I block them because they're dumb, and I don't want to lose my brain cells. I don't want them
listening to their garbage. Yeah, they're
it's stupid. They don't know football. They don't.
No, well, they'll tell
you
that
they don't coach it. They don't scout it. They just watch it on the highlight reels and watch it on, their TVs and say, "Oh, I watch football. I know everything." You don't. No, you don't.
Yeah, well, they'll tell you that the emperor has clothes, even though you can clearly see the emperor's is naked, butt naked.
Yep.
So you're the crazy one.
Yeah, I'm the crazy one. I need to go to hell. Okay. At least I have your attention. That's how you know you're doing something right, and you're hated is when people keep running their mouth.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, they're
the content, the Wal-Mart General content creators that don't like when people hold them accountable. They hate that shit.
Well, they're bracing for impact because they're going out there and seeing.
Yeah.
It's the oh shit moment we talked about last year.
Yeah, but they can talk shit, but we can't. No, I mean, they had. Oh, I called them out. They can't see.
Anything.
That's how they know. Yeah, exactly.
They called us out.
Like that. Can't associate myself with people like that.
Well, and then it all blows up. They evaporate. It's wash, rinse, repeat every day or every year. They're off-season warriors. You bet. This is it. It's 13-4 or whatever. It's oh yeah.
Conspiracy thing. Okay.
Yeah. These the teams are basically the same. Yeah.
Yep.
It was all the coach. It was nothing to do with these crap players, these B-list players that they brought in.
Justin Simmons had a good year last year because of the 2022-2023 highlights that I watched.
Yeah. That's why he got benched early in the season.
Yeah, that's why quarterbacks just throw the ball right at him when you clearly see it on the all-22 film.
I'm saying
and offense coordinators are clearly targeting his side of the field. If you don't know
that's why those interceptions, because most of the throws are always at him and the corner that Surtain on their side of the field. Now, the argument could be made that, well, that's because we're taking their best. Yeah, and that they are. They're taking those guys are, but they're racking yards up, or, when push comes to shove and they got to get the ball, they would have lost that. You always talk about the games they would have won. Well, let's talk about the games they would have lost. Had Garoppolo seeing that, I mean, the number 13 for the 49ers is going like this, waving his arms because Justin Simmons blew his coverage as usual. And that would have been a touchdown, a home run ball. But Garoppolo was like a top.
He couldn't throw the side of the barn. I mean, come on, dude. Jeez.
Couldn't hit the side of a barn. So I'm actually, I think what's more intriguing, speaking of, Garoppolo, I think, and this isn't being a Raider fan, it's just being intrigued. I think it's more intriguing with Nathaniel Hackett, with Josh McDaniels fixing Garoppolo. I think that has more promise to it.
Yep.
Than a guy that doesn't. Their systems don't even mishmash, and then he is who he is. Hold on to the ball too long and not read and miss stuff and run around like you chicken tuck and run, all that stuff. I think the Garoppolo thing is more intriguing as far as fixing quarterbacks is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Carr, speaking of the Raiders, Carr going to the Saints to me is intriguing.
Behind that offensive line,
which, they have a good concept of how to put together.
Yep.
And sticking to that one monolithic approach, which, completely, they don't have retreads. They actually bring people up through the ranks. Jordan Rhodes, just blowing people away in camp. They can't. Yeah, I'm sure he's moved from we'll give you 2 weeks free agent. I think he's a part of the camp big time now, isn't he not?
Oh yes.
Yeah, they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose.
Nope.
Because it's just too valuable. And what he's done in camp there, if they're dumb enough to get rid of him, he'll definitely get picked up. There's no hopefully in the same system, but he fits the Saints system like a hand in glove. We said that too before the Saints picked him up.
Yep.
So, okay, that's all I have.
That's all I have too.
All right, y'all, let's all get our crap done.
I know. Get back to adult things here.
I'll just let you know that when we evaluate this Rams situation, I don't think I'm going to be in town.
Okay.
But just give me, feed it to me. To me.
We'll do. Yep, I will.
And I'll get to it. So I'm looking forward. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.